And Wendy brings so much to this conversation because she has a really interesting area of expertise that I think is relevant to many people. Wendy is the founder of a company called the Calm Monkey, which specializes in training and certifying experienced meditators on how to implement workplace mindfulness programs and also become skilled mindfulness facilitators. She's taught her programs in a lot of different places, including the Greater Good Science Center, Google.
So this first slide, basically what I did was after integrating change management mindfulness into the program, 5 months after the go live, I ran a survey and asked this question, how much did mindfulness and meditation help you through this big system implementation? And on the left-hand side was how they could have answered. So I circled the top 3 bars because that represents 83% said that these practices helped them moderately to significantly through the big implementation. And that's what led me to write the white paper for the Global Association of Change Management Professionals, because I wrote the case study, I showed all the results, and it won as the winning white paper for the 2015 Global Conference. So I went to Las Vegas to present the paper.
So this is big stuff because organizations are changing more and more all the time. And change management is not something that is episodic now. It's something that's really part of the fabric of being at work, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's, it's the resilience. We have to build the resilience and the self-awareness. Okay,
Right.
so on to the next slide. This is a little, I'll describe what this is. This is what I call the individual change journey slide. So very briefly, I said before, successful change happens one individual at a time. So when you're doing organizational change management like I was, it's not just at the top. It's not just about all the corporate communications that you need to do. To me, you have to get to the individual level, and that's often ignored or not ignored maybe, but there's not ever enough resource to do that. We tend to think about the top-down communications. So what I did when I combined change management and mindfulness is when I came up with this model, I adapted it a little bit from William Bridges, but the black line is called the Valley of Despair because basically when you think about when people go through very difficult change, they start off feeling, okay, change is coming. The executives say it's going to be great and why all the great reasons we should do this. But what really happens is when the person's life starts to get disrupted, when their job changes, when they start to go on training sessions, when they have to do something differently, that's when you can dip down in performance, dip down in attitude, whatever that is. And hopefully, this is a very generalized depiction, of course, but hopefully once things kind of are that way for a while, then we come back up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to call your attention to the 5 words in the yellow boxes there, because that's what I focused on when I did this integration. And awareness is really about, how is the change affecting you? The self-awareness of that.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding is understanding why it's challenging you. If it's hard for you, why? And think about this because you can start to see why mindfulness fits in here, because it's about contemplation. It's about self-reflection.
Right.
Rather than just busy, go to this training session, talk to this person, go to this meeting. Okay, let's
Right.
sit quietly
Yeah.
and let me guide you through this, right? And it's so powerful. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to accept everything happening to you. It means recognizing your situation is happening to you so you can move forward and not get stuck. That's a
Mm-hmm.
big, big stage there. And
Yep.
commitment is when you start to move forward and create the experience you would rather have through the change. And that takes, I could talk hours about that one, but basically it's regardless of what's happening around you, you can decide what experience you want to have. And that may sound simplistic, but my best example is my cancer journey. I cried for the first 3 days. I was in shock for 3 days. I looked at myself in the mirror on the 3rd day and I said, Wendy, you're a change manager. It's all about how you respond to this. That's within your control. So I'm talking about the same kind of thing here. You might be going through a change at work that you really don't like, but how do you want to show up through it? Okay.
Yeah.
And then advocacy may or may not happen, but it's basically when you help others through the change as well.
Yeah. This is such a great model, and it's so obviously, so clearly connected to mindfulness, which is the antithesis of just having a project plan and working that plan, but really taking into account how we're kind of metabolizing our own emotions so we can stay resilient and so we can stay effective even as we go through the valley of despair, right?
Yes, yes.
And
Okay.
you saw this unfold at Pacific Blue Cross, right?
Absolutely. And that's what led me to write the white paper. And I've done some more
Right,
research since then.
right,
So thank
right.
you for letting me show that.
Thank you very much.